Well, right now we probably are live because we're always late and it's saying prepare to live stream to Zoom.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming.
We're live. It looks like it on our channel.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been live. Well, right now we probably, there we go.
I love how at the beginning of every live you hear the feedback from both of our laptops like pulling it up.
I know, it's great. It's very professional. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a big fan.
Okay, so first we're doing Andrew.
Yes. So hello, welcome back to Project Astrology. I'm Nina.
I'm Shaina.
And this is a live Drag Me show. If you don't know, a Drag Me is a service that we provide on our website, projectastrology.com/shop. It is the least informative and most cheeky reading with no prior preparation, designed specifically just to drag your chart.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a bunch in stock right now, and we know that we've been doing a lot of Drag Me shows. In fact, that's all we've been doing. I highly doubt we have to explain ourselves, but that's the most we can do right now. And we had a big Drag Me sale, so we will still be on this channel during this time, but we don't obviously have any
we don't have any way to film content.
Yeah, exactly, other than basically like this. So yeah, that's what's up. Thank you, Jess. It's very sweet.
We're just waiting for Andrew to make himself known in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and start his Drag Me.
Kurt says hello, hello.
Yeah, you're ahead of me always. You say the comments right before I'm
weird.
Even able to see them.
It's weird, especially because my laptop is so slow.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'd feel like I would be the one lagging.
Well, maybe it's, I don't know. So Andrew, wherefore art thou, Andrew? Actually, fun fact, wherefore doesn't mean where, it means why. So you've been using that wrong.
What is this, a word of the day calendar that you figured that out?
No, I fucking went to a very academic school.
Exciting news, Grimes had her baby yesterday.
But on to Andrew, because this is...
Oh, Andrew's here. Oh, perfect. I was just filling up time.
Andrew, I believe we've done a couple readings for you, I believe. You have a sort of generic last name. It's a very common last name, so there might just be another Andrew by any other name. But I believe that we've done some readings for you. So welcome back, I assume. And the first thing that I thought when I looked at your chart is a deep drag. So I'm not even sure if we should start with this. So Shane, I'm going to turn it over to you first. What do you see that you want?
That's a light drag. Let's see here. Just like, I guess this feels, since we'll start light, we'll just do Pisces moon in the 12th house. That's a very, I don't know how like this is hard of this is either. It's a very needy, dependent place. Like if you had to live anywhere, and people could be like, you could live anywhere, do anything, you'd be like, just put me right back in the womb, just feed me from a tube, keep me warm, and just don't, I need no reason to talk to anybody ever. Not that that's what your whole chart is saying, but your moon is.
Yeah, the thing with like Pisces energy is that you read all of these kind of spiritually oriented self-help books and you're like, this is just how to be a Pisces, just be a Pisces and nothing but a Pisces in the 12th house, and just be a Pisces stellium in the 12th house, right? But then you start thinking like, Eckhart Tolle, do you know how to like live in the real world?
Yeah.
You want to be a floating amoeba. So
I mean, floating amoeba does sound enticing. But...
yeah, I bet you do just want to be a floating amoeba. You said in need of a deep drag, so please don't hold back. So here's the deep drag, and it's your interception in the 7th house. This is tough, right? So you are an Aries rising, and Libra is your descendant, and you hold your Scorpio interception in the seventh house. This is just fucking tough because, first of all, Scorpio interception has a trouble with intimacy and opening up and knowing themselves deeply enough to be able to share their deepest selves with another human being. That's emphasized in the seventh house and emphasize the like know yourself enough and deeply enough. There's also that issue with you in the first house where like you have identity issues, and then you have knowing yourself intimately issues, and then you just like end up in relationships where you cannot be yourself. You're just always trying to be a specific thing to appease the person, and you'll never know true intimacy. Well, this is a drag me, so I'm going to stick with you'll never know true intimacy.
And yeah, and also with that like Libra descendant with the Scorpio held in there, like you're just gonna try to reflect whatever it is that other person's reflecting, like total like don't know yourself. And like in relationships, maybe because you're an Aries rising, like you assert yourself a lot, like you just talk loud or take up a lot of space and don't really do much but that. And then like but the fact of when you're actually like, okay, I need to like be a person and show myself, it's like, why don't I just keep on making sure everything's okay and lovely and fine, because my Venus is in Scorpio and I want the commitment part of a relationship without the actual like scary bonding part and the actual like figuring out who I am to show who I am to the other person. I don't know, this is not the most fun drag. But yeah, I just feel like because with your seventh house ruled by Libra, I also feel like you fall for, well, let me see, Venus is in there, yes. Okay, so you fall for like typical like pretty girls and like maybe people that lack substance, because like your Scorpio is held in there, so it's like who you need to be is people who have a lot of substance, but who you fall for is just like people are probably always like, why is Andrew with this person, like there's such, and also because you're probably a more yeah, you're a Sagittarius with an Aries rising. You're probably more like not dominating in like a Scorpio way, but like dominating in just like a loud take up energy kind of way. And then you pick probably these people that are like barely a person. You know what I mean? You're like, is there anything in there? You know, and sometimes with you, that people are like, is there anything in there?
We do this drag quite often, this like whole like personality thing. Like I love it when on these real trashy dating shows like Love Island or Too Hot to Handle or something like that. They ask someone like, what are you looking for in a person? And the person thinks that they're like really woke for not saying like butt, boobs, muscles. And they say like, well, what's most important to me is personality.
Oh.
And I think it's so funny when people say that, because that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
You know, like I'm looking for a personality. What kind of personality? You want a bubbly personality? You want a deep, soulful person? Like person, you can't. It's like I want someone with an arm.
They have to have a.
Same thing with muscles. Like I want someone with muscles. Like what does that mean? Everyone has muscles. Whether or not you can see them under their fat is another question. So that's funny to me. And I think that's a specific drag for you, because that's sort of Aries rising Libra descendant is like, if you say anything that isn't superficial, you're like patting yourself on the back. Like it's not about, you know, shiny eyes and a beautiful face. It's about personality. But as an Aries rising, you are also the epitome of that Tyra Banks, like personality. You have to have personality.
Yeah, and especially with like, okay, because your Uranus and your Neptune are in the 10th. So like Uranus in the 10th is like, show my quirkiness, show my personality. And then like Neptune's in there, but you don't have any like personal planets in there that are your personality. Like your sun and moon are hiding away, but your Uranus in the 10th is like, show it, whatever it is, even though it's in Capricorn. And I don't know if I have any, but, or maybe, I don't know, that's more of a birth chart reading. I'm not going to get into that. Something that I also wanted to drag, so you have this Aries rising, which is already known for being impulsive and not thinking, and there is a certain dumbness to Aries, just in the sense of it's act now, think later, right? And then you have your Mars trining your rising, which would normally be like, that's so good, Yes, moving on, but no, not when you have this unhinged fucking Aries rising talking so well to this unhinged fucking Leo Mars in the fifth house of fucking Leo, of just this fiery mess of just angry all the time. And like, oh my God, there's just like too much anger in you, and you always express it. And you probably were like, you're probably such like a violent and an aggressive kid or something, or just in general, like you just act and you don't think about it, you just do it, or you act out of this ego place, you're out of this kind of gross like primal place, maybe, I don't know. And also like very like what's the word, um just Leo Mars in the fifth. My Mars and Leo was a mess. Yeah, Leo Mars in the fifth will very much like, I feel like maybe this is a deep drag. I don't know, like do sexual things just because like the other person, you're like, oh, this other person is like higher than me on the attractive scale, or like you got more clout, or that's just cool that this person thinks I'm hot. So, and like there's nothing telling you, because it's like Leo fifth house, to be like, hey, what about like intimacy? You don't have like a Scorpio, you don't have any Scorpio, so you're never like thinking in that way. And your fucking eighth house is in Sagittarius, so it's always ready to fucking flee from dark and deep relationships. And your Leo Mars is just like, nothing's telling, well, like you do have some like oppositions and squares, but I feel like not much of is telling it like, hey, slow down. You're always just like, why, you know?
The more I actually look at your seventh house, the more convoluted and complex and scary it is to me. I think I'm like remembering that we talked in your serious readings about your seventh house and about your north and south node, but you have your north node in the seventh house, and then you have Pluto in the seventh house, but you don't have any of that Scorpio. And when you have Pluto in the seventh house and none of that Scorpio, there's like the serious issue of like you having this insecurity and not being comfortable in going to the depths of yourself. And so you act out of this like plutonic need for control, need for power, paranoia, and just basically all of the dark sides of Scorpio. So that's the down and dirty version of a kind of deep drag. And then North and South Node intercepted. That's tough. I'm pretty sure we talked about that in your advanced reading or your beginner reading. But like, that's tough, you know, that's, oh, you just don't know. You don't have any access to your inherent God-given gifts, and your discomfort zone, your north node, and your kind of like destiny is even harder to reach, because you're like, there's just no way that I can get there.
Yeah. Also to drag more on your Pluto, your intercepted Pluto, so that causes like in somebody feeling of like powerlessness, or just can put like a more submissive flavor on the person, right? Because you don't feel like you have your own personal power. And so with that squaring your Mars, I feel like your Mars is all about like power or being assertive, being very like fiery, and then you don't have this like Pluto to back it up because it's in the seventh house, it's intercepted, you're just like giving it to way to everybody, and like you never even had it in the first place. And so I feel like your Mars is so upset by how much power you lack and how much like dominance you actually lack. And there's just like a lot of like anger and frustration just added and boiling in there. And probably like anytime you were like made to seem, where you're like made to be embarrassed, probably you like hold on to that a lot, and it like fuels your anger.
Yeah, you've also got like with this south node in the first house, where it's just like, I just want to be able to just be by myself, especially like there's this kind of energy showing up in multiple ways in different parts of your chart. There's like that first of all, Sagittarius is not the most social, or yeah, it's not the most social sign, though it is very extroverted. Neither is Aries. And then you have your south node in your first house, so you're just like, can I just take care of myself and my Pisces? moon in the 12th house can just like be completely content floating in an amoeba in the womb away from all of civilization. Plus that interception held in the 7th house. Like, how do I even get along with people? Your 7th house is a mess. Your north node is in there, and you've got this Capricorn midheaven. And Capricorn midheaven with like the 2 planets that you have in there is tough, because there's this real pressure that you have on yourself to be a specific kind of way. And then the planets in there obviously are like, no, be a completely different kind of way. Don't be this Capricorn. Mm-hmm. Be a Uranian Neptunian guy. And then that also emphasizes like, because like Capricorn you think of as this really boss energy, but there's so much insecurity actually in Capricorn when you take into account that Capricorn derives its fulfillment from social kind of rewards.
Yeah, external things.
So believe it or not, your Capricorn midheaven is expanding upon your insecurity that you wouldn't expect an Aries rising to have, but because you have the interception in the 1st house and that north node in the 7th house.
Just in general, I read in your chart a lot of insecurities, like a lot of like not being comfortable in your own skin. Especially I feel like you're such you have such a capacity to be such an emotional person, because you've got this 4th house in Cancer, 8th house planets, 12th house moon in Pisces. And yet so much of it, I feel like, is just feeling like you need to put on this manly face of this Aries rising. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that you're somebody that like that pressure really gets to you and like gets you down, and I think can cause a lot of social issues as well. Like, I think that your Aries rising that you're putting on like this selfish, me first kind of attitude is then going to be detrimental to like your 7th and 11th houses, which they're obviously not doing well at all. Like your 11th house is like so detached in the sense it's like in Aquarius, which that can be very like, obviously it's at its home placement, but I think with the combination of Saturn being in there with Aquarius, it just winds up you want to like isolate yourself a lot, or just like you don't feel comfortable around like masses of people. And I think that could be like literally just because of the insecurities you feel, or just like you're a lot of different people, and you will I feel like you want to be like, I don't know, I just feel like your Aries rising is like making you put on a lot that you don't want to have to put on.
We haven't even touched on like real obvious things to drag, which are your intercepted Venus and your Mercury in Sagittarius. Well, we've been doing deep drags, so let's do your Mercury in Sagittarius. That obviously is not an ideal place to have. It's in its as an astrologer who's been doing astrology for 6 years, this is tough for me. It is in its detriment. Not its fall, right?
Because fall would be in...
Fall is Pisces.
Yes, okay.
Because the exaltation, Mercury, and 2 dumb cells, but one's exalted, all this stuff. So
yeah, the Mercury ones are always so confusing. Anyways.
Your Mercury is in its detriment. And on top of that, like everything that puts Sagittarius Mercury in its detriment is kind of like not exactly what Mercury in the 8th house says, because Mercury in Sagittarius has a problem like honing in and really following through on its thought processes and on its communication, whereas Mercury in the 8th house has totally not that problem. So when you have both of those energies together, it's like you're either really scattered or you're really obsessed. And there's no kind of like in between. And so you tend to probably get obsessed over not like the wrong things, but the less productive things. Like, let's take this what do we call this so that this video doesn't need to go through demonetization stuff?
This time that we're having.
This troublesome time. Let's take this troublesome time and our in our house situation that's going on. There are so many more productive ways to be using your mental energy in this time than what you're using it for. Like, you could be learning something useful. You could be advancing your career. You could be doing this, that, or the other, but you're probably just like deep in conspiracy theories. You're probably in on like the, you know, China surveillance and beer virus and how that really came from a lab, all of those conspiracy theories, rather than like, I don't know, getting a master class subscription and learning about the economy. I don't know.
Yeah, and also possibly like never finishing research on one thing and always like skipping to the other topic, but then like getting so obsessed, but never like, maybe if you're somebody like, let's say, I don't know if you'd want to, I don't think you'd want to write a book, but if you were to write a book, you'd be like, get all the information almost except for like the last conclusion and then just like forget about it. You know what I mean? That like Scorpio and Sagittarius kind of situation. Also, I feel like with Mercury square moon, the classic roast of this is just like you're not speaking true. Like what you say is does not line up with what you're really, who you really are, and like who you're really thinking and what you're really thinking. And I think what that has to do with is like your Mercury remembers a lot of stuff and your Pisces and holds on to a lot of stuff and your Sun holds on to a lot of stuff. But then that Sagittarius nature and the Pisces nature both are like wanting to forget about it in different ways. Like Sagittarius is like, I just want to run from it any way I can. I don't want to think about these terrible embarrassments that have gone on in my life or whatever trauma has gone on in my life. My Pisces moon is just like you're constantly being you're constantly telling yourself to like not get over it, but like everything's fine. Like the Pisces like kind of way of just like taking things as they come almost so well that you're just like always in this like everything's fine kind of state. Like do you know what I'm trying to say? Like kind of like the Power of Now kind of books, that kind of vibe of things. My Aries rising starts so many hobbies, projects, but I never finish anything. And then your Pisces moon just gets like tired and like bored, and like your Sagittarius gets bored. Like I feel like you get bored so fast. Definitely, you have such a ridiculous attention span.
Okay, Moon square Mercury. This is the part of the show where Nina talks about a Bachelor franchise. Listen to your heart, or as I like to call it, sing your heart out.
Am I muting your laptop, Nina, so we don't hear?
I can't, because then we can't talk.
Oh, duh.
We've been over this. Brandon, I feel like Brandon from Listen to Your Heart is just like Moon square Mercury all over the place, right? Because he's like, he doesn't know how to communicate to like Julia or Savannah, and you're like, who do you even like? And then you're dragging Julia along, and then because you're dragging Julia along, then Julia's dragging Sheridan along, because then she thinks that there's a chance that you'll not be with Savannah, so then she could be with you and all this stuff. I don't know. This is kind of a niche drag. You should, I mean, I'm not telling you that you should watch Bachelor Presents Listen to Your Heart, because you do what you want to, but you know, if you want to get that drag, that context would be useful.
It's your homework to understand that drag is to watch the entire series.
All of. It's only 4 episodes, but they're all like 2 hours long. And that's actually the end of your drag. We ended on kind of a Bachelor singer, Listen to Your Heart note. Kurt Casablancas always has really funny comments, and he said, or she said, because I think this is an alias and you're actually a girl. Well, who knows? They said, Nina, you have your sun in detriment. How could you forget what planets are in their detriment? LOL. I've Neptune conjunct Mercury, and sometimes I like to forget that my sun is in its detriment, you know? My Mars.
It's just hard to remember, like, I don't know, detriment and fall to me are like such similar pictures that come up in my mind.
Yeah, I know, like in my brain, but sometimes it has a hard time like coming out in words. In my head, I'm like, this one is the worst one, this one is the medium worst one.
But like, which one's the medium? Yeah, no, that's exactly, yes, absolutely. Oh, wait, you're welcome, Andrew. We hope you enjoyed it, and it was nice. I guess we've never seen you, so I don't know what I'm saying. It was nice reading your chart again.
It's nice seeing your chart again.
That's true.
We see you in this way. In some ways, we see you better than you can see yourself.
Oh, okay.
Probably not.
So yes. So somebody asked earlier, how do you get one? It's on our website. How do you get a drag? It's on our website, www.partytrickastrology.com/shop, as we always say. Yes, and we're about to move on to Zoe's drag once we know
herself known.
Yes. Ooh, nice hairbrush.
Oh, thanks. It has like a little spongy.
Oh,
so I'm like
so nice.
Really just playing with it. So how's everybody doing?
I went outside and went grocery shopping for the first time in like 2 weeks. It was an event. It's ridiculous. It's so silly. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be like, is there nothing new here to report, Nina? Anything new with you?
Anything new with me? I don't know. I can't remember the last time I updated anyone on what was going on.
I don't. Well, you know what I mean. Zoe said
thank God that Zoe's here because we have nothing to talk about.
We have nothing. We're just like completely. Yes. So we're gonna start your time. Okay. So hello, Zoe. Welcome to your Drag Me.
And welcome back because you were in our astrology course.
Yes. So let's see. You got Leo rising, Aries sun, Taurus moon. Whoa, do you have like, is that, okay, so wait. Aries sun is in it's
exalted. Taurus moon is exalted, and Leo rising is
I don't know if it's exalted, but it's like
it's a fire rising, which typically would say like, oh, fire rising, that means that all of your houses line up. In your case, you have an inner
mostly Cancer rising, yeah, houses, I think.
But you only have 2 Cancer rising houses. No, actually, you have mostly Cancer rising houses.
Yeah.
Well, sucks for you.
Yeah, that sucks. You like got that's your first drag. You got the nice ass like Leo rising, but you don't get to enjoy the real benefits of it because like, you know, Leo risings are kind of a lot and kind of suck. Who said that? But you don't even get like the correctly set up fucking house placements that come with it.
Let's look at your planets also, because we got a bit ahead of ourselves, because yes, you have an exalted sun, you have an exalted moon. You know probably better than us about exaltations and detriments and fall, because you were in our astrology course and we dedicated like an hour or 2 hours on that. Yeah. Your Venus is in its detriment and your Mars is in its detriment.
And your Mercury is in its fall.
Yeah, and your Mercury is in its fall. I even forgot about that. But your Uranus is in its domicile. Congratulations on that.
Damn, you got a lot of like, okay, sorry. We're just like, oh God, my thing's so messed up. Okay, so the first drag with Leo risings is y'all are just so much. And it's also, let me see, what is your son talking? Okay, your son is not talking to, or no, yeah. And it's just like the classic thing of like, you guys can just talk and like think people care, you know what I mean? Or just like, because you're a person, you therefore, you deserve to be listened to. Pish posh, I'm kidding. No, but like Leo risings are the reason why Trump has held these like 2-hour, he was holding the 2-hour fucking press conference meetings for no reason, which is because he likes to fucking hear the sound of his own voice.
Yeah, and then as soon as someone is like, I hate this, as a Mercury in the 7th house with some Leo risings, is that like they're talking, and you're like, okay. Well, they're talking so much. At some point, I'm going to be able to my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's not how it works. No even give and take on that. You've also got a messy little 7th house. You do.
I feel like you do, because you have like this Mercury and a Pisces with Leo rising. To me, that gives like spoken word poetry vibes. I don't know if the rest of your chart says that, but just that does.
You've got a messy little 7th house and a messy kind of little 10th house.
5th house. It's like, yeah, just got some messy houses going on.
Hacked. And of all the houses to be messy, you chose the angular houses. Well, it's not like you chose them.
2 of the angular houses.
You know. So yeah. What should we tackle first? That messy little 7th house or that messy little 10th
Let's do the 7th house. I want to drag Neptune in the 7th because It's just been showing up in other people's charts that I've been looking at. Like I've been like documentaries of people's I've been watching, somebody's chart I read, and like me and Nina both have this placement, but I think that but I don't know, seeing it in people that don't really have much other influence, it is just so much stronger when they only have like Neptune and some other generational planet in the seventh or one other planet. Like y'all like put people at such a pedestal and like are so and like I can be too, so this whatever. But just so quick to like want to fall in love and put it on that person and just like it's even funny like seeing it from somebody because I was reading somebody's chart that has like a very self-aware chart in a lot of other ways, but then them talking about this person and like the Neptune in the seventh I could just see was like even if they weren't wrong it was just already taken over. So it's like even if like this person is correct, the Neptune in the seventh person still is so funny the way they go about it because it's just so like they're Neptunian, like it's like I feel it and I know it and so I have to act on it, and it's just like it just gives a very like movie vibe, you know what I mean? Like that's how people feel ways in movies, if that makes sense. It's just silly to me. This isn't a very good drag, but
What's tough to me about kind of all of your love energy is that your Venus isn't, it's talking to your north, no, it's talking to your ascendant and square your mean Lilith. And obviously it's also in its detriment. um, and then you have the seventh house in Aquarius with Uranus there, and you have Neptune there. And that's kind of like not really saying the same thing, especially because like it's two really independent things to have Venus and Aries, and then seventh house in Aquarius with Uranus in there. And when Neptune is there, kind of putting these rose tinted glasses and just making you so much more of a romantic than the rest of your love energy is reading, there's just this kind of like, especially with Aquarius and Uranus, there's just this kind of like, I mean, it's your shadow side too. So there's this embarrassment and this need to hide how much love means to you, and this kind of need to put on this Aries Venus bravado of like, oh no, I could love, I could take it
I
or
could
leave
go
it.
without.
I love myself. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
I go after things myself. And obviously the natural drag of Venus and Aries, and you were in our astrology course, so you heard plenty of why Venus and Aries is in its detriment. Just like love is supposed to be a two-way street. And Venus and Aries plus Leo rising, Aquarius descendant can just have a hard time wrapping their head around that. And especially what Neptune is doing in that situation is not contributing to love being a two-way street. It's just like, you are whatever I want you to be. You are my Prince Charming who will put on my shoes and tie them for me.
Yeah, you want your biggest fan. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
Leo, like, especially with all that Aries too. Also, another drag of Venus and Aries. And this may be obvious, but like I've just been seeing it so much because my parents both have Venus and Aries. Is like sometimes you can be too independent in love. Like it's like Nina was saying, like it like you can forget that it's like, oh yeah, it's a melding of two people. You know what I mean? It's not just like two people sharing the same space or something. And yes, I wanted to drag your Taurus moon, and the drag that I have for it today is like, and this is obvious, but it's just like how much it seeks comfort and like how frantic it will get if like comfort is being taken away or like the security blanket is taken away. Like Taurus moons react so viscerally to things. They don't like, and they like, and especially because your moon is sextile your ascendant, right? Yeah, so you react and it's trying Neptune, you react very, very viscerally to things. And like, you probably have a very expressive face because your moon is in the 10th house as well, of just like how you're feeling and when you're feeling it. And you can like just give off very like young, scared child vibes when you're like being threatened. And I feel like there's something very like with that Aries and Taurus combination, there's something very like simplistic to you, like not in a bad way, like not basic, but like simplistic in the sense of like what you need, and then when your needs are gone, just like this like frightened child kind of taking over, you know, because like that Aries and Taurus is such like new fresh signs and can like channel the like little kid energy almost. I don't know.
Yeah, there's also the fact that Earth energy, and with your moon in Taurus in the 10th house, like we were kind of saying in the last drag, predicates its kind of fulfillment on what was the word that you plugged in for me, Shaina? Social rewards.
I don't know. What?
Like Earth energy predicates its fulfillment, its
Oh,
happiness,
like
its sense of
external.
security. Huh?
Like external things, like
Yeah,
external.
on external things. So that's big time the case for Moon in Taurus in the 10th house, which is no way to live as someone who's like, I just want to do my own thing and be my own self and all that kind of stuff. Also, Mars in Taurus, another placement in its detriment.
Oh, nice title or whatever. I can't.
I would have to do that every single time when I say detriment or fall.
Oh my god.
That's tough in this time, especially in this staying at home due to beer virus time. It's because like Mars and Taurus has a hard time just like creating its own momentum, its own motivation.
Yeah.
In order to get things done and do anything. And obviously, well, I don't know like what your situation, you could very well be a frontline worker or be working from home, but you're quite young. I assume that you're actually still in school.
20.
You're born in 2000, you're 20. You might be in college, and so that could be an area of energy. But in terms of like how much is really holding you accountable at this moment? Not much. Definitely not as much in regular life, in your regular day to day. There's not much holding you accountable. And if nothing's holding you accountable, you're sure as hell not holding you accountable with that Mars and Taurus.
Yeah, I'm also feeling like with your 6th house Capricorn and then your 10th house in Aries with all this Taurus stuff, is like you like the idea of like clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah.
Like going somewhere and like the idea of like having co-workers and having a shift on, a shift off, and like a separation. So I feel like this is like really like not your jive at all. Although Taurus does love staying at home, I feel like it's your jive maybe because you're like love staying at home, but also you probably maybe you know how like terrible you are at kind of like when you're left on your own accord to do what you want with your time. And so as much as you're like, this is great, you're also like, ugh, I think that structure is like necessary to like get myself off my ass, you know?
Also, Saturn in the 10th house has this problem with future tripping, which probably really fucks up with your moon in Taurus. And what you're probably thinking now is, as much as you're enjoying certain aspects of this time, you're always thinking about like, this is going to suck so much more when I have to go back to normal life.
Mm-hmm.
The parts that you enjoy, you're like, oh no, one day I'm not going to be able to sleep until noon.
Yeah, for sure.
And then your mind is like, I can't wait to clock in. I can't wait to feel productive. I can't wait to reaffirm my sense of self based off of these external things that give me a sense of worthiness.
Yeah.
But then I won't be able to sleep until noon.
Yeah, you literally like.
And you're already mourning it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, your 5th house is so messy because it's ruled by Scorpio, it's intercepted, and then you have Pluto, Lilith, and Chiron all on top of each other, all intercepted. Now, I don't know how well to drag that, but I will say that like that sucks. Like your fun house is not fun whatsoever. You're like free, like la la la. I like this is my favorite color. Like that's not a question. Like that's not just a question for you. That's like a loaded gun. Somebody asking your favorite question, like favorite color. But yeah, just like a lot of shit around self-expression. And I feel like when your Lilith is conjunct your Chiron, I feel like that's just trash because your Lilith is like this like wild free thing, and so whenever you express this like wild free inhabited like is that the word inhibit whatever sense of self, like shit comes and hits the fan and it's like nope, stop, you don't get to do that. And like also because it's intercepted, when I say like it sucks, it means it sucks for you. It doesn't really suck for anybody else. This is like the stuff that you're like, why can't I have fun? Like you go out and you try to have fun, or like I feel like you're somebody like, and this may be going too far, but like you have fun sex once, you get fucking pregnant, you know what I mean? You're like, or like, oh, you hook up with somebody and he winds up like being this absolutely terrible person and it terrorizes you for the rest of the time. Like it's never just like lighthearted fun, and it's never like as much as you want it, you know?
Yeah, there's two ways that casual sex happens with Scorpio ruling the fifth house, especially with Pluto in there. It's either like you just can't have a fun one night hookup, it ends up becoming a traumatic experience, or you have a fun one night hookup, but it doesn't totally like translate as a fun one night hookup. It just kind of translates as the one who got away and, oh, wow, I can never fulfill fully that connection that I had with Jonathan in the Maldives, spring break 2014.
Yeah, and also because your Lilith is intercepted, like you just don't get to like have that free part of you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's very stifled, and I feel like what you wore, how you express yourself is like super duper controlled. Like did you go to some sort of, you have third house in Virgo, so you could possibly have gone to some sort of very structured like private school of some sort, or just like in general was around like, did you have uniforms or something? This isn't a drag, but
Party trick time. You've got a Gemini Sagittarius interception that speaks to religious brainwash.
Right, that's very true. So maybe you were. Let's see here. What else do you have to drag?
Yeah. Oh, I like this religious brainwash thing that I've got going on.
Mercury and Pisces in the 8th house.
Mercury and Pisces in the 8th house, and then your North Node is in the 12th house. So it's discomfort zone, but it's where you need to go. So it's like you have these uncomfortable experiences with spirituality and religion possibly, but this kind of esoteric stuff is where you need to be going in life.
I feel like your 10th house gives vibes of like a very traditional path was laid out for you, because it's like Aries midheaven, so you're like a leader of some sort in the workplace, but with all that Taurus, it's like you're not going to be the leader of this corporate, of this new thing. You're going to like be within like the Taurus way of like going to work and, like I said, clocking in, earning money, or getting like a stable paycheck, having a stable job. Like, and also there's, I feel like, a part of like all that Taurus energy of like, because you put security and like financial security, home security, and all that stuff above so much, and like that's what you need at your core, you can like put what you actually want to be doing, or like the path you want to take, or your wants, or like also your wants to probably like not work for anyone, being an Aries, like wanting to be a leader and like being a Leo rising as well, but you probably like put that aside a lot for the sake of stability, for the sake of just kind of like, yeah, getting that clock in, clock out. When I retire at whatever age, I'll have a comfortable retirement kind of thing.
Lilith at least in Capricorn in the 6th house. Whew. This doesn't make you a very your little Lilith that lives inside of you. I don't like her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to meet her. I don't want to be around her. Because she's a bitch.
Yeah, super judgmental, super perfectionist.
She's judgmental. She
Mm-hmm.
thinks that she's better than everybody else.
Oh, for
She
sure.
also hates herself.
Yes, yes, and just all the time projecting, and like probably all the time you're like, I'm an Aries sun, Taurus moon, I'm chill, and I let people do what they want, blah blah blah. But then you're fucking quietly judging everyone at all times with your Capricorn Lilith in the 6th house, and like, uh, yeah, and being very like, as much as you said, like you really need structure, like needing it again so much that you're like sacrificing yourself or your personality for it. And I feel like literally you sacrifice your personality for it because your 5th house is intercepted.
Ooh, hot take. And also just like sacrificing your, because obviously Lilith is an obsession, and Shaina often points out the sort of benefits of having Lilith interacting with certain parts of yourself in order to make yourself healthily obsessed with something that will either progress your career or this, that, and the other. One should not be obsessed with the things that your Lilith is obsessed with.
Yeah.
It will destroy your life.
Yeah, and what I've noticed, because I was watching, this was a while ago, I was watching the Peace Dealers like old series on Lilith. Like it's still very relevant, of course, but it's not new or anything. And he was talking about how it's like, oh, having a Lilith in an Earth sign is like really nice. It's like it's way happy. It's happiest in Earth signs, and I was like, what? And I still to this day I'm like, what? Because I understand that a part of it is like, yeah, your Lilith is in a mutable sign and it's gonna kill people, and it's not in a fire sign. It's like you can like withstand it more. It's like the issues that come from Lilith issues aren't, as big scale as maybe other Lilith issues. But I completely disagree with that. I think that it makes you earthly obsessed, material obsessed, and like also all the earth signs can be like so judgmental and so picky, and so rude and so bland, so that it's like, I don't know, I disagree.
Yeah, like a mutable sort of fire sign, well, a Sagittarius sort of archetypical Ted Bundy type of murderer Lilith is going to be a murderer.
Yeah.
You're not gonna kill other people with your Lilith, but you might kill yourself.
You just like suck as working with you because you're like so picky about like how you want everything, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's drag.
That's the drag on that. Your Lilith sucks and you agree. So at least you agree. At least we're not kind of like earth shattering your world and you're like, oh my God, this bitch that lives inside of me isn't my friend.
Oh my God. Also, like, what bothers me about, no, I know, but what bothers me about the Peace Dealer being like, earth sign Lilith, which again, I see where he's coming from, but it's like, I've never been like, my Lilith in Leo is out of hand. At least for me, I've always been like, my Lilith in the 2nd house, which is the Taurus earthy side of it. I'm like, that's out of hand. I don't know.
Yeah. Trenton is getting dragged at 150. And in the notes of his purchase, he said that if he's not here, just to go ahead with the drag.
Okay, cool. Let me pull up the chart.
But we have 5 minutes.
Yes.
To waffle.
Waffle?
Yeah, isn't that something that people say, to waffle around?
I guess. I don't know, I've never heard it.
Let's see what people are saying.
So Grimes' baby is a Taurus sun, Libra moon. I did not expect Grimes to be a Libra moon mother. And I think that their kid's a Scorpio rising. Have you heard its name is like XAEA-13?
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it because one of it is like it's a combined letter, so the A's and the E is combined.
Oh.
So it's like I don't even know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's like some IPA shit.
Huh?
It's like some IPA shit.
Yes, it literally looks like I think it is an IPA symbol or something.
Yeah, it's an IPA symbol, but I think it also exists in other
Yeah.
languages.
But yeah. So, but makes sense, Grimes and Elon Musk. A kid named that. What else? I mean, what else would it be named? They're having a fucking robot as a kid.
I don't even know who Grimes is. I'm so out of touch.
Do you know who Elon Musk is?
Yeah, I know who Elon Musk is.
Okay, have you seen him with his girlfriend? Everybody was like shook because she's like an indie electronic artist who's like very Pisces, like she's a Scorpio rising Pisces sun, like not like looking clean cut, like not that Elon Musk is very like clean cut, he's crazy in his own way, but that's the whole point. But yeah, I guess they're together, and Grimes is like the last person who honestly should have a kid. Not really, but like her mentality is very Pisces about it. She's like, I was watching an interview with her and she was like, I didn't realize that like being pregnant was like such a thing, you know? I was just like, I'll just be pregnant. Okay.
Anyway, Trenton is here. And before we start your drag, your sister or someone in your family got drag. I'm assuming it's your sister based off of your guys' last name and your city of birth. Is Carly your sister?
I believe. Oh, the one that we did recently?
Yeah, we did her like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I remember that.
So I think your sister got dragged on here. So all in the family. That's real sweet.
You also have a 5th house and 11th house interception as well. That just seems to be the
Look at that. Your parents were consistent in the way they parented both of you.
Oh, well, no, I meant with
as the last person. I was like, with the drag, honestly, full disclosure, with drag me charts, they leave my brain as soon as I'm done. Yeah. I can't even tell you. Well, I know that Zoe is because she was in our astrology.
Oh, you're right. Carly is Trenton's sister.
Oh, cool. Those are my 8th house skills put to the test. Detective Nina over here. Anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty. The theme of the day is what's in its detriment. Your Venus is in its detriment. So that's the theme of the day. What else is in its detriment? Just for fun. I think that's all you got.
Yeah, I think that's it.
In its detriment or fall. Or
Gemini risings have been bothering me more and more. The more I look into like famous Gemini risings, and the more I realize how easy they are to spot. They literally can just turn their profile and I'm like, Gemini rising. Like the other day I was watching a movie and I paused it on this girl and she had a turned face and I had like only seen her on screen for a few seconds and I was like, she's a Gemini rising. Like she looks the fucking little bubbly, little fucking cheeks, little boring ass fucking face. Gemini risings can be like so, there's something very generic about them because they want to be very approachable. You know what I mean? And then there's something that's really like annoying about them as like children, especially because they're totally like the kiss asses and the like you know, all the kids that like just weren't funny and thought they were, you know, and then they grew up to do the same thing. That's Gemini rising.
I said the meanest thing the other day that it caught me off guard how mean I was. Me and Shaina were texting about Shallon Lester, who has recently come into some kind of YouTube drama, which I'm surprised it took her this long because
based on her stuff,
she's really awful. She has some interesting insights, but it's just so clouded with vitamin water because she's an Aquarius. I like to say that she's a vitamin water bearer. But I said the meanest thing because we were like, she looks like a Gemini rising, or like she seems like a Gemini rising, like yeah, maybe like Aquarius sun in the 8th house type of vibes. And yeah. I was like, yeah, she has that. What did I say? She has that Gemini rising lip filler face.
Yes, it's so true. Like Gemini risings love fucking plastic surgery. They just want to look as fake as they fucking are.
Even if you don't have plastic surgery as a Gemini rising, you will be like accused for it. People will think that you just have that Gemini rising lip filler face.
even if not that, you'll like, I remember I posted this because I literally posted it the other day, this like dumb filter that like makes you look like you have like plastic surgery or something. I posted it and I was like, Gemini risings be like, and then my friend who's a Gemini rising was like, hey, and then she was like, well, I would get plastic surgery if I could, honestly. Like, I know, you know what I mean? Like they would, you know? Not that anything against it, but it's just so funny how they're all just so, it's just all such a, you know, thing.
Also, terrible combination, really. Here's a drag. Gemini ascendant with an Aquarius midheaven typically would say that this is good, but in my biased opinion, it's awful.
Yeah, mine too. What a holier than thou.
Because like Shaina was saying, there's this sort of Gemini thing of like, you think that this kid is going to excel in school, or
Yes.
they seem like they're really promising and they're going to excel, and they really just grow up to kind of do the same thing and fall back in the bracket as they go into the real world. That is Gemini Aquarius. Because there's like this, just because Gemini energy is that like gate kind of kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes.
Gifted and talented.
Education. Yeah.
Education. It's that gate kind of kid. It's that gate kind of kid who just grows up and has depression, especially with Aquarius energy. It's like, I'm so much better than all of you. I'm so much smarter. I'm just super, super smart. Because obviously Gemini exceeds in lower education and third house things. And then there's that Aquarius kind of like, not only do I exceed in lower education and third house things, but I'm also better than you because I exceed in the world. I'm the best. But existential dread all over the place, especially creme de la creme, Scorpio sun.
Yeah.
Scorpio, Aquarius, existential dread.
Yeah, and I was also gonna say something else with your self-esteem that I think is like can be one of the biggest kickers is Saturn in the second house, and like especially cusping the first house. Like it's not in the first house, but it is cusping it. And I know somebody with this combination, and my God, crippling self-doubt, crippling self-esteem, just could not like, but like not only like self like not only just is it bad, but obsessing about it. Does that make sense? Like that's all they think about so much that like they would need affirmation from me a lot, or like they, even though like nothing's telling them now that they're ugly or this and that, it's just like they're constantly portraying that. Like I felt like it was like in a circular thing of like around, like in their mind at all times of just like I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. And it's sometimes it's just like it don't matter that much. You know what I mean? Like you're not, okay? And even if you are, whatever, but like it doesn't matter as much as you're making it, you know?
Yeah, also Saturn in the second house is another example of, this is another theme of the day of Earth, super duper Earth energy, meaning that your self-satisfaction, your happiness is predicated on external factors, on what society says that you should be, and what should make you happy. And only if you are at the top of the top do you get to be happy.
Something else to drag that like I definitely notice in myself is the fact that you have like Sagittarius energy in your sixth house. And what that does is like this random flip-flop, because the Sagittarius energy is like, I want to be free and non-judgmental and do all these things and just live life and whatever. And the sixth house is like, but also I have so many like what's like, but also like there's a perfectionist tinge to it on that end of like, this is what it means to be perfect and I need to live within that realm. And also like I'm accidentally now, because like I judge myself for it, I'm judging others and I'm too nervous to do all these Sagittarius things that I want to throw myself into because my sixth house stuff is just constantly like causing me anxiety. So just like this like random like flip flop. And like I feel as though like for me personally, I need somebody to like kick me out of it, because like I can get in this like anxious spiral of like, even if like I'm gonna take something simple like going on a roller coaster. My Venus and Sagittarius is like, go on the roller coaster, and then my sixth house Venus is like, no, I don't know that. Like, I can just get into this spiral of like going back and forth and like not making up my mind. I need to be like fucking kicked to like make a decision. And it's so annoying. It's annoying for me. It's annoying for the people around me.
Yeah, you have the same moon placement as me. You have Sagittarius moon in the 6th house. Super fun. It's like your own little personal square that's not a square. I love bragging about how I have no squares in my chart, which is true, but also like not true because I'm a Cancer rising. So every house that my planets are in a house that squares the sign that it's in. So Sagittarius moon in the 6th house gets this really great benefit of, and we were talking about this last week whenever we were doing drags, of like, I just need to have my whole life perfectly organized start to finish. If I don't have a routine, if I am not, sure of what my next 5 minutes are going to look like, and if I don't follow them perfectly, I just might die. But I need to like be available to drop everything at any point and climb Mount Everest at the same time. But also like, if I don't wash my hair on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will die.
It like switches between like high maintenance and low maintenance, and it like has trouble deciding which one it wants to be when, Also,
and it's just awful. There's like, you can't satisfy yourself in any which way. Classic square energy.
Mm-hmm. Also, with your moon being square your Jupiter, you definitely have big visceral emotional responses to things, and also probably like your emotions are just very prevalent every day, and you probably feel like people probably like accuse you of like putting them on, or like they feel like they're like you're just melodramatic, you know what I mean? Like maybe you throw like little hissy fits or something. I don't know. Sagittarius isn't like a hissy fit kind of sign, but you just like can be. Oh yeah.
No, but 110,000% that's true, because there's this kind of like Scorpio energy in you that really takes things very seriously. Mm-hmm. And Mars in Pisces, which is quite melodramatic, and your moon in Sagittarius, what's it doing with Jupiter?
Squaring.
It's squaring Jupiter. It's also just barely conjunct Pluto. There's lots going on giving you a real ability to express your emotions and not really feeling the need to hold them back, and in fact being very capable of diving right into them. And me with my Sagittarius moon, and also like other things like my Cancer rising, I have had, especially drunk, I've had outbursts of emotion where people get mad at me because they think that I'm putting on a show.
Yes, yeah.
And it's actually how I feel.
Yeah, and that's like
that's definitely the same with you.
Yes, and also, oh my god, okay. So your Pisces Mars. I was watching Hot Rod last night. Have you ever seen that, Nina?
Yes.
Okay, you know the scene where he has like he's like, I'm gonna go to the woods and dance it out. He's like angry for
I don't remember the movie very well.
He's angry. The main character is angry for some reason, and so he gets on his motorcycle and he's like, I'm going to the woods and I'm having a moment. And so he goes to the woods and he gets off and he has this whole like dumb, poorly done dance montage because he's like angry. And I'm like, what a Pisces Mars. Like, I'm going by myself. I'm escaping to the woods and then I'm going to dance out my emotions and my anger. I'm so frustrated.
I can only communicate my frustration through physical dance interpretation.
Yeah. And I was like, what a nerdy little fucking Mars. It's not nerdy, but
another thing with Pisces Mars, especially with kind of like this Saturnian energy in your 10th house, which you have Aquarius, which is co-ruled by Saturn, is your midheaven. And Saturn is in your 2nd house, which is quite earthly as well. So you do have this energy that is, like I said, kind of, it's really important that you are seen as respected and have a certain amount of status, and that your work ethic is really communicated. And then with Mars in Pisces, there's this want to like Dance, to put it simply, like dance, do yoga, do things like that. Like that's what your Mars wants to do. It wants to channel its energy in an artistic and or spiritual way. But the thing with like dance and even yoga, and yoga less, dance more, is that there's a technique to it. You need
Right.
to do it right.
You like put time in and learn it.
Yeah, you need to, point your toes. You need to perform in a certain way. And you probably get really pissed off at your Pisces Mars for not doing it perfectly or not excelling in the both Pisces and Virgo kind of things that dance or even yoga have, the melding of that, the balance of that, the yin and yang of that, because you have this narrative in your head of like, you must be perfect. Mm-hmm. You must do everything absolutely right and be the best at everything.
Yeah, just throughout your chart, there's nothing that's very indulgent. But then there comes your Lilith. Your Lilith is like kind of, I feel like out of nowhere, at least your true Lilith. Your true Lilith is in Taurus in the 12th house, which that is the ultimate doesn't want to do anything Lilith. That's the ultimate just taking it chill and indulging and definitely eating your feelings. Like I feel like Sagittarius moon can already do that, especially in the 6th house. And so then adding the Lilith and Taurus of just like, you can't stop. Like Nina can get that way a little bit with food and just like, she can eat a lot, you know what I mean? And like treat yourself to a lot of food. Like, but I feel like you just don't even get full. You just, and when you do, you're like, it's a challenge and I've got to keep going. And so I feel like your Lilith is so just like very separate from the rest of you and very out of, like people don't expect it. And so maybe like because of all this 6th house stuff and like even 10th house stuff and people are like, yeah, you're a good worker and stuff. But then like in reality, you probably do a lot more nothing than you'd like to admit or that you'd like to tell or show people.
But you actually need to do more nothing because your North Node is in the 12th house.
That's true. I'm not against it.
You need to get more into that like
Zen, chill, everything.
Because your tendency is to get hard on yourself. Oh my God, by the way, happy change of North Node, South Node in the sky. Happy North Node in Gemini. To me, I always knew that this would be the first sign of once, like social distancing was not going to end with the North Node in Cancer.
No.
Now there's North Node in Gemini. There's light at the end of the tunnel in that aspect.
Also something that is okay, because you have a 5th house sign of Mercury, and you're normally I would you think fun, creative, free, but yet your 5th house is having some problems because it's ruled by Virgo first off, which just having a 5th house ruled by Virgo takes all the fun out of it. Like I don't know, Scorpio can take the fun out of something, but there's still some kind of fun to Scorpio. At least there's drama there. With Virgo, there's just like crickets. You know what I mean? You're just so picky and you're so hard on yourself. And you're also like, Virgo definitely has a want, doesn't really like have a want to express itself creatively, and so you probably like, I'm a creative writer, and okay, but it's also intercepted holding Libra, which is a Venus ruled planet, so there are a Venus ruled sign, so there's a Venus ruled sign just trapped in there, wanting to get out, wanting to express itself, but yet it's being picked over with a fine-tooth Virgo comb, and also an antisocial Virgo comb of like, oh, if this person likes you, you're not just going to be like, oh, let's try, I'm interested. It's going to be like, you're going to like pick them apart and analyze them, and your Scorpio is going to like search them everywhere and make sure that they're the perfect person. You can't ever just have this Libra like kind of like, oh, haha, you're fun, I like you, you like me, flirty like thing. Like it's super intense, and like you like can get like laser focused and be like so picky and like pick people apart and like pick yourself apart. And then like your Sun and Mercury, which are like fun planets in the 5th house, are like in Scorpio, so then like that's not fun either. So I feel like it's just like, as much as I feel like just our roasts of fifth house suns, like you wish they pertain to you, you know, like they don't, and you're almost like jealous that they don't, because you're like, I could fucking use all that attention that I, you know, want. And like I feel like you're almost like bitter because you didn't get all that, and that might be how you're expressing it.
Yeah, and at the same time you have this both positive and negative thing of like a read that I always give about Libra intercepted is like the rest of the world got a rule book on how to behave. Like everyone attended some kind of seminar on how to be a human in society and what the rules are in society. And you just like didn't get the invite, you didn't get the pamphlet, you didn't get the memo. And there's just like this feeling of, I don't know how to integrate in society. But like your sun in the fifth house suddenly, and that Aquarius midheaven too, has that attitude of like, well, I don't care about integrating.
Yeah.
It's almost like a less insecure version of that Libra interception, even though Libra interceptions come with Aries interceptions, that breeds insecurity. But there's kind of like this not caring to integrate.
Yeah. Somebody said I said like too many times, and I completely agree. And then Trenton said I get a lot of attention, but it makes me uncomfortable most of the time. That makes sense. Like Scorpio getting attention is like feels exposed and like feels like you're on blast. And like, I don't know. I feel like if you, a part of me is like, when a Scorpio feels uncomfortable with attention, it's like, that's because you're hiding something. I'm like, that's because there's something you don't want people to see, and that's why you're uncomfortable. Like, I don't trust it. Yeah, I'm like, it's not just because you're shy, although you are shy. But I think it's just feeling so exposed a lot.
I think one of the funniest things in our old skit of our Scorpio rising skit, and this is relevant to all kind of Scorpio energy, especially in personal planets like the sun and moon, is that feeling of like, oh, don't let the person tell, what was it, the line was like, oh, don't let her know what you're thinking. No, what if she can read your mind? Don't even think your thoughts.
Yeah. Because it can be that way with Scorpio, though. It can be fucking.
Absolutely. It's like so spot on. Like, don't even think your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You're just so scared of like, what are you hiding? You might not even be hiding anything. It's like when you go to the airport and go through security.
Yeah.
You know you don't have a bomb.
Right. But you're still nervous.
You're still nervous.
Yeah, you're like, what if there's something in there I don't know, and it's, I don't know, it's gonna.
Yeah, what if I do have a bomb? What if it's framing me?
Yeah, that's
Scorpio energy.
But yes, that is the end of your drag, Trenton.
That's the end of the Drag Me show for this week.
Yes. We hope everyone enjoyed. Again, drag me's are still in stock on our website, and
as are a lot of our other readings.
Yes, because we restocked for the month as normal. I don't know. Not much else to say. Thank you, everybody who bought a Drag Me reading and for supporting us. Yes, we really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed and got something out of it and liked your drag.
And thanks for everyone who tuned in the comments. If you don't know already, a Drag Me is a service that we provide on our website, partychickastrology.com/shop. And it is our least informational and most cheeky reading where we do no prior preparation and just fly by the seat of our pants for the purposes of dragging your chart. So thank you all so much for your support, and for the Drag Me participants this show for your purchases and your support in that way. And yeah, now is the part where I have a really great memory, but somehow every week the way to end the Zoom magically leaves my brain. The information of how to do that magically leaves my brain. So yes, now I've remembered it. So say your final goodbyes, Shaina.
Goodbye.